Here are the 2 seeds right now in order. Alabama, Florida, Michigan State, St. John's. Let's start with Roll Tide, down 62-57, 11:36 to go against the Florida Gators. Entering the night, Rob, Alabama was plus 170 to jump a line off the 2 line where I have now in usurping Tennessee as the 4th number 1 seed, because it's going to be Auburn, Duke, and Houston in that order. But the 4 seed very much up to grabs for like 4 or 5 teams in that conversation. What are your thoughts on Bama? Can they get to the 1 line? And obviously they got to win the game tonight. And of course they got Auburn on the immediate horizon. So the 1 line still in their future. Do they get there? And what are their prospects in the NCAA tournament? Full disclosure, I have them winning the whole shebang at 9-1.
I like that pick. I do. I've been on high on Alabama since last year. We talked a little bit about it last night. I love what Nate Oates has done with this basketball team. I love that this team is a team that does not plan playing physical. They can lean on Mark Sears and get a bunch of points offensively. They've got a bunch of guys that can score the ball in the paint. I also love that they're not afraid to hand check and play a little defense. They did it to Auburn game 1. Auburn just had Janai Broome pop off to steal that W from them. All of a sudden, it feels like this Alabama-Auburn game to end the SEC regular season, maybe not quite the Auburn runaway that I thought it might be. This Alabama team, like I try not to lean too much into the narrative style bets, Brad Evans, but I also understand that going into the conference tournaments, going into March Madness, is as much about who is playing well as who played the best overall regular season. And if Alabama's hammering this throttle down, we'll see what they do to finish up this game against Florida. If they can get a dub, I think you got to feel a hell of a lot better. But I like this team. I think they play the type of defense that wins you conference tournament games in March. That's why they made the run they went on last year. I think they can do it again this year. I would not be shocked to see Alabama outright win the SEC tournament, which is not a bad little futures bet, because, and it's probably better before, Auburn took a L last night to the Ags, but even still, that's going to be a good-sized plus money bet for what I think is the second best team in the first best conference in college basketball. I love Mark Sears as a player. I love Nate Oates as a coach. I love the physicality and mentality of this Alabama team. I would ride with the Tide for sure.
Yeah, I love Sears. Grant Nelson's got to show more consistency. Playing better tonight. 3-some from the floor with 8 points. But this is a team that is the epitome of live and die by the 3. They're kind of dying by it right now, down 66-59. Just 5 of 16 from the arc in this game. That's 31.3%. But when they are on, and when I mean when they're on, they're shooting like 36% or better from outside. They can beat anybody in the country. So we'll see what shakes out for the rest of this game. But I don't think they're going to land on the 1 line. If they lose tonight again, they're going to be outside looking at this conversation. Even if they beat Auburn over the weekend, they would have, not completely out of the conversation. I guess if they get the SEC tournament final or win the SEC tournament in Nashville, they would have a strong argument. But the chips are kind of stacked against them a little bit there. The deck is, if they cannot win tonight. Speaking of the competitor, Florida, again, up 66-61. They're next up here on the 2 seed line. Number 4 in the net, 36 strength of schedule, 6-3 on the road, 6-4 in quadrant ones. Could earn their 7th quadrant 1 tonight, and a quad 1A win at that. They're a top 10 team in Torque over the last 30 days. After the Bama game, they're at home against Mississippi. What are your thoughts on Florida? They're plus 220 entering the night to get a 1 seed. Let's say they win this game. Let's say they beat Mississippi. Do they jump over Tennessee on that 1 line, or would you have the Vols there currently?
No, I'm probably going to keep the Vols there. I think, by the way, is Florida the most untalked about top 5 team in the last handful of years? Like, yes. It's just every time I turn the channel to another show, we're talking everybody in the top 5 but the Gators. But that loss to Georgia, 88-83 a couple of days ago, Florida shot like right at 40% from the floor. And that's they have these cold streaks. Like, that's why, as much as I like this team, if this team had consistency, and I know it's weird to say about a team that's 24-4 and 11-4 in the best conference in college basketball, but all 4 of those losses, Florida watched their shooting percentage dive down to like 41%, and that's not going to get it done, especially in this conference tournament, especially in the big-time tournament. What Tennessee has done in the regular season to me is more impressive. I cannot take away Tennessee seating on the 1 line based on the fact that I'm just going to wait for the inevitable Rick Barnes crash and burn in the tournament here in a couple of weeks. We'll get to that later. I like this team They're fast. They're a team that likes to play in transition. They like to shoot. Problem is, about once every 5 games, they have one of these games that they shoot 40% from the floor. And while every basketball team is going to have struggles, it just feels like Florida hits their breaks more than other teams are able to slow them down. And when a team has issues like that, I get a little concerned. It's weird because I feel like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth here, Brad. I'm very impressed with the 24-4 team. I'm very impressed with Florida when they are playing offensive basketball like they are tonight against the Alabama Crimson Tide. But I don't trust them in the losses they took him in bad enough that I think Tennessee stays ahead of them.
I think Tennessee will stay ahead of them. Obviously the conversation's going to tighten. And Florida up 10 now, 71-61, 9:06 remaining there in Tuscaloosa. If they win tonight, and again, they beat Miss, and they should beat Ole Miss convincingly at home in the next matchup. Make a deep run in the SEC tournament. Very much going to be in the 1C conversation. Love this team. I grabbed them at 13-1 2 weeks ago to cut down the nets in San Antonio. They got all the goods. And again, we talk about Alabama living and dying by the 3. Florida's actually taken more threes than Alabama over last month at a more prolific clip, though more successfully at times from outside. So this team's got the goods. Love them quite a bit. All right, out of Michigan State and St. John's, one of the 2 seeds. Again, I already say the case, and Michigan State has an outside shot of earning a 1 seed at plus 1,500. Who makes the deeper run between Tom Izzo and Rick Pitino, living legends?
I don't know how to say this because this isn't the style of radio I do. You feel some kind of weird vibe coming from Tom Izzo's Spartans? I do. Like, it just feels like a Tom Izzo year. I don't know how to explain why. I'm looking at Michigan State. It's a team that is very good. It's a team that I think early in the season, I think a lot of the struggles early in the year have kind of been allowed to define the narrative, and teams have made or talkers have kind of ignored. This is a team that, dating back to the Oregon, has dropped 1. It was against Indiana. They've had 4 straight wins against top 25 teams. That includes that Maryland team that we both like so much. That includes a Michigan team. That includes Purdue, who has gone on a heater as of late. I really like this Spartan team. And again, not the radio I do, Brad, but I said this a minute ago too. It kind of feels like this team picked the right time to start getting hot. And provided that they don't crash and burn in the Big Ten tournament, I think my answer is the Spartans.
Oh, interesting. I like St. John's a little bit more, but I keep discounting Michigan State, and I keep looking like an imbecile as a result. I said that, Spartans' correction was going to come. It did. It didn't last as long, but they're, rebounding. Their defense spectacular. We're actually starting to hit a couple threes. It's all because of the emergence of Jason Richardson. Jason Richardson's kid has been dynamite, just electric offensively. They needed a guy like that to step up, and now they have it. So I really shouldn't discount for Shizzle my Izzo. But for reasons unknown, I like St. John's a little bit more. I got a ticket on them at 11-1 to make the Final Four. I got trust in Rick Pitino, and that team just plays dogged defense. They exhaust you, no doubt about it.